Some jobs teach you skills. Some teach you patience. This one taught me how fear feels. Not the kind from a scary movie, but the kind that follows you home, sleeps beside you, and whispers in the quiet. This is what happened when I took a job at a traveling carnival, and why I'll never set foot in one again. The carnival rolled into town just as summer began. It wasn't flashy. A few rides, some game booths, overpriced snacks. The main draw was a hall of mirrors, an actual structure, not one of those inflatable setups. They called it reflections. My job, stand by the entrance, count people going in, make sure no one trashed the place. Easy enough. The first few nights were uneventful. Families came and went. Kids screamed with delight. Teenagers dared each other to go inside alone. But there were patterns I started noticing. Like how sometimes more people went in than came out. At first I thought I was miscounting. I'd count 12 people go in. Only 11 would come out. Then 10 go in, and only 9 leave. I told myself it was just kids slipping out the emergency exits or doubling back to prank me. But one night, I saw something. A woman stepped into the attraction. She had this expression. Not fear, not joy, just empty. I watched closely, waited for her to come out. She didn't. Everyone else did, but not her. So I went inside. The hall was quiet, unnaturally quiet. It was disorienting. Mirrors stretching in all directions, bending reality. I called out. No answer. Then I noticed something strange. One of the mirrors was fogged up, as if someone had breathed on it. I wiped it clean. My reflection wasn't moving. It just stared back, still as stone, eyes fixed forward. Then it smiled. Behind one mirror, I found a maintenance hatch. It wasn't in any of the blueprints the staff had, but it opened easily. Behind it, a narrow hallway, dark, cramped, damp. I followed it deeper. The walls were covered in carvings, tally marks, names, smudged fingerprints in red, and written over and over again, scratched into the wood. Don't follow her. That's when I saw the purse just sitting there in the middle of the hall. I recognized it. The woman who went missing had carried it. I picked up the purse, and that's when the voices started. Low at first, then louder. Not in my head, not hallucinating. Behind me, footsteps. I turned and saw her, that same woman. Her eyes were wide, mouth moving without sound. She pointed deeper into the dark. Then she whispered something I still hear in my sleep. It's not just me. Before I could respond, the light snapped off. Pitch black. Something grabbed my arm, but not her. Cold fingers, rough nails. Something else was down there. I ran, scraped my shoulder on the wall, dropped the purse, didn't care. I slammed back through the hatch and stumbled out into the mirror maze. But it wasn't right. The mirrors weren't reflecting me. They showed other people. A man in a staff uniform screaming. A woman with her hands on the glass crying. Then I saw myself, walking deeper into the maze. But I wasn't moving. I was frozen, watching. Then, without warning, every mirror shattered. I woke up outside, lying in the grass behind the hall, my shirt soaked in blood. The carnival? Gone. Every booth, every ride, vanished overnight. I tried to explain what happened. The police said I was probably attacked by an animal. No proof. No evidence. Except for one thing. On my bedroom mirror at home, someone had written in fog, "Thank you for following me." And beneath it was my reflection. Only, I wasn't smiling. But my reflection was. If you've ever seen something in a mirror that you couldn't explain, or felt a reflection move when you didn't, tell your story in the comments. And if you ever find yourself alone in a hall of mirrors, don't look too long. You might not like what looks back. Before we get into the next story, if you're here for the first time, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you're notified when the next scary story arrives. We need your support. If this story chills you, share it with your friends, with your family, with anyone who dares to listen. Thanks for being here. There are places built on joy, places where families laugh, lights flash, and music drifts into the night. But what happens when that joy is just a mask? What happens when the smiles are painted on to hide something darker beneath? This isn't a ghost story. It's worse because this really happened. I hadn't spoken to my brother in 5 days, which doesn't sound like a big deal, unless you knew him. He texted me every night, always. Just a simple, good night, or some meme he thought was funny. That kind of thing stops feeling optional when it becomes routine, when silence feels louder than words. He'd taken a job with a traveling carnival that had come through the outskirts of our city. We laughed about it, even joked that he'd come back with balloon animals and war stories about cotton candy machines. But after 5 days of no word, not even a read receipt, I knew something was wrong. He wasn't flaky, he wasn't the type to ghost, and he never ignored me. So I did something reckless. I went to the carnival myself. I got there around 7 p.m. sunset. The golden hour made the fairgrounds glow like something out of a postcard. Kids screaming on the tilt-a-whirl, couples winning plush toys, barkers yelling about prizes no one ever won. The whole place looked so normal. Too normal. I approached the ticket booth, asking casually if I could speak to one of the workers, my brother. I gave his name. The woman behind the counter blinked. "We don't have anyone by that name," she said. I tried again. She brushed it off. So I walked deeper into the carnival. I asked at the hot dog stand, the ring toss, even one of the ride operators. Every single person gave me the same vacant expression. "Sorry, man. Don't know him." Some even got a little weird about it, like I was bothering them. It felt off, like they'd all been told not to talk to me. Or worse, like they didn't remember him at all. That's when I saw him. At first, I thought it was just another performer, a clown on stilts, slowly walking the grounds. But he wasn't handing out balloons, he wasn't interacting with anyone, just watching. His outfit was faded red and black. His smile was painted on, wide and cracked, and his eyes, they didn't blink. He stopped when he saw me, just stopped, right in the middle of the path, and tilted his head, slowly, like a marionette with one string pulled too tight. Then he raised his arm and pointed to the back of the fairgrounds, a dark corner where none of the music reached, where the generators didn't hum, where the tents were older and silent. I followed his gesture, weaving past cotton candy stands and rusted games until I stood before it, a large black and white striped tent, tattered at the edges, set far enough back that I had to wonder how anyone found it. There were no signs, no lights, no line. The entrance flap was open just enough to show that faint, flickering light inside. I hesitated. Then I stepped in. The air was cold, and not just because it was dark. This place felt old, like it hadn't been touched in years. There were rows of mirrors, cracked, cloudy, but not random. Each mirror faced a wooden stool, and on every stool, a wig, or a pair of clown shoes or some crumpled fabric. But the one in the center had something else. A photo of my brother. There was a small projector in the corner, old manual, but powered on, a single reel loaded in, already spinning, and playing onto a white sheet pinned to the far end of the tent. I didn't want to watch, but I did. The footage was grainy, but I could see it. The same tent, the same mirrors. My brother walked into frame. He looked around like I had, confused, curious, a little creeped out. Then something changed. His movements slowed. His arms dropped to his sides like a puppet without strings, and a figure stepped out from behind him. Same clown suit, same red and black. The painted man. It placed a hand on my brother's shoulder, and he didn't flinch. He just sat down, picked up a jar of white paint, and started smearing it across his face. I stepped back. My throat tightened. That wasn't a performance. That was possession. But then, the reel ended. The projector clicked, and a second one loaded automatically. I didn't press anything. The next video began, and this time it wasn't my brother on the screen. It was me. I was watching the footage, just as I had, standing in the same corner, looking terrified. But in the mirror behind me, there was something else, a painted smile. That wasn't mine. The screen cut to black. The lights flickered. That's when I noticed the stools weren't empty anymore. Every single one had a figure sitting on it. Wigs on, makeup done, red mouths stretched wide, and none of them were moving. I turned to leave, but the entrance flap was gone. Just wall, just canvas, just more mirrors. And in every mirror, I saw myself, not moving, not blinking, but smiling. I ran. I don't remember how long, maybe minutes, maybe hours. I eventually stumbled into daylight, right back onto the fairgrounds. It was morning. The carnival was packed up, gone, empty dirt lots, trash fluttering in the breeze, like nothing had ever been there. I called the police. I told them everything. They found no records of a carnival in that county, no event permits, no workers. But they did find something. An old maintenance shed at the back of the grounds. Inside, a dusty projector, some photos, and one final thing, a Polaroid of me in a clown suit, smiling. It's been 3 months. My brother's still missing. Officially, he walked off the job. That's what the report says. No forwarding address, no bank activity, no social media, just vanished. I told the police what I saw, about the tent, the video, the clown. They looked at me like I was grieving, like I needed someone to talk to. I stopped insisting after the second wellness check. I know what I saw. I just wish I didn't. I've gone back to work. Normal life, or something that looks like it. But something's changed. I can't explain it. People who knew my brother barely mention him anymore. It's like they've all quietly moved on, like he's just a name they used to know. A few nights ago, I drove by the old fairgrounds. There was nothing there, just grass and dirt. But when I parked and walked around, I saw tire marks in the mud, fresh, and something half buried by the tree line, a boot, red and black. I left it there. I didn't touch it. I just sat in my car for a long time and stared at the field. I still don't know what happened. I don't think I'll ever know the full truth. But I do know this. There's a hole in my life where someone used to be, and no one around me seems to notice that he's gone. If someone you love disappears and everyone around you acts like it's normal, if you're the only one who remembers they were even here, you're not crazy. Not everything leaves evidence, and not everything that takes gets caught. Most people don't remember carnivals. Not really. You remember the feeling. Funnel cake, flashing lights, maybe that one ride you swore you'd never go on again. But the details, the faces, the layout, the name of the company that ran it, gone. And maybe that's not an accident. It started with a Facebook post. My sister tagged me in it, one of those nostalgic throwback groups, people sharing pictures from local events in the early 2000s. This one was titled, "Remember the Zipper Ride?" Last seen at Cold Hollow Fairgrounds 2007. It was a grainy photo of the ride mid-spin, colorful cage seats flipping as it rotated. Pretty standard stuff. Except, I saw someone I recognized, in the back row, just barely visible. A little out of focus, but unmistakable. My cousin Nate. And here's the thing. Nate disappeared that year. Right after going to that same carnival. We'd all assumed the worst. Some said he ran away. Others whispered about drugs. One aunt blamed a cult. But we all knew the truth no one wanted to admit. He was just gone. And the night he vanished was the night of the fair. I messaged the person who posted the photo. They said it came from a roll of undeveloped film they'd found at a flea market in upstate Vermont, inside an old camera. It sat in a shoebox for over a decade. The person only developed it recently out of curiosity. Said they didn't recognize anyone in the picture, but I did. I asked if they could send me the full resolution. They did. And that's when I noticed something else. Nate wasn't smiling. Everyone else in the photo looked thrilled, laughing, screaming mid-spin. Nate looked still, blank, like he wasn't there to have fun, like he wasn't there by choice. And behind the ride, between the trees, something dark, a shadow, no clear shape, just the outline of a tent, faded, slouched, almost like it was trying not to be noticed. I drove out to Cold Hollow that weekend. The fairgrounds had been shut down for years. People said it was due to declining attendance, but the fences were still up, signs rusting, and the air felt still. Too still. I parked nearby, cut through the woods, and reached the clearing. The grass had reclaimed most of the space, but some of the old structures were still there. A broken-down popcorn stand, part of a Ferris wheel axle, half of a banner still hanging, and in the far corner, just past the tree line, twisted metal, cages, rotting seatbelts, the zipper, or what was left of it. I didn't know what I was looking for, but something about being there made it real, like part of my memory had been frozen, and just now was thawing. Behind the ride was a trailer, probably used for staff at some point. The windows were broken. Inside, dust covered everything. A collapsed bench, plastic wristbands, a fan, rusted solid, and on one of the inside walls, scratched into the wood, NC. That was Nate's initials. At first, I thought maybe I was seeing what I wanted, but below it, in faded black marker, I saw this: "Don't ride twice." I went back home that night. Didn't tell anyone where I'd been. I stayed up late scrolling through old town forums, archives, anything tagged Cold Hollow Fair, and I found something, a newspaper blurb from 2009. Carnival owner questioned after missing teen fails to return home. It wasn't Nate, it was someone else. Same fare, same ride, no charges filed. Apparently the teen was spotted leaving with friends. That was the official line, but no friends ever came forward. The family never got answers. Just a folded apology letter and a check. I emailed the paper. No one responded. 3 days later, I went back. I had to know. I reached the same clearing. Except now, the zipper was standing. Not rotting, not rusted. Built, new paint, lights, cage doors swinging gently, running, but silently. No music, no operator, until he appeared. A man in a red jacket stepped out from behind the trailer. His smile didn't match his eyes. "You again?" he asked. I told him I wasn't here to ride. I just wanted to know what happened. To Nate. To the others. He nodded. "People don't really disappear here," he said. "They just become part of the ride." I asked him what that meant. He didn't answer. He just held out something in his hand. A token. One last time. And walked away. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the trailer, the initials, that phrase, "Don't ride twice." And then I remembered something, an old camcorder. My uncle had filmed the carnival that year. I'd forgotten all about it. I dug through the basement until I found the tape, labeled Cold Hollow, 2007. I watched it all. Kids running around, rides spinning, laughter, screaming, the whole vibe. Then it cuts to the zipper. You can see Nate standing in line, but here's the thing. He gets on the ride. The ride starts, spins, slows, stops. People get off. But Nate's seat doesn't open. The operator looks confused, walks around the cage. Then, the tape cuts out. I visited my aunt and uncle the next day, told them I'd found the old tape. My aunt cried. My uncle just stared at the floor. Then he stood up, walked upstairs, came back with something in his hands, a notebook. Nate's. He handed it to me. No one else ever saw this, he said. We found it after he disappeared. The last few pages were drawings, messy, uneven, all of them. The zipper, same angles, over and over. But one page stood out. A circle, surrounded by cages. Each cage had a name written under it, 10 names. One cage was blank. It's been a month since I found the photo, and I've tried, I really have, to let it go. I went back to work. I rejoined group chats. I even started therapy. But it's like no one else remembers him. Not the way I do. When I bring up Nate now, people act tired. They say things like, "Didn't that happen years ago?" Or, "Some people just don't want to be found." And the scariest part? I'm starting to forget things too. Not just details, entire chunks. I found an old picture of us at the beach. It was dated 2 weeks before he disappeared, but I don't remember the trip. I don't remember how he smelled or how his laugh sounded or what we were even fighting about the night before he left. And that's what haunts me. Not that he's gone, but that I'm losing the realest parts of him. It's like something doesn't want me to remember. Not fully. And I've started to wonder if forgetting is easier. Because remembering means admitting no one came looking. Remembering means accepting that everyone moved on. Except me. I haven't told my family I found his initials carved into that trailer. I haven't told them the fairgrounds still stand. I haven't told them that a week ago, someone left a worn ride token in my mailbox. No note. No explanation. I threw it away. Then the next day there was another one. Same token, same words. One last time. I didn't tell anyone about that either, because what would I even say? How do you explain something that only you seem to notice? And how long before I stop noticing too? If someone you love disappears, and the world pretends it's normal, don't forget them. Because sometimes the worst thing that can happen isn't that they're gone, it's that you remember alone.